The first step to journaling is not about what pen we choose, not about what our journal looks like, and not even about what prompt we select. Because I can have all of those things and still not want to journal, So the first step in journaling for mental health is creating a safe space in yourself that says, I am okay to explore my thoughts and my feelings openly. If you feel intimidated by journaling, friend, you are not alone. A blank page can feel really overwhelming, especially when we're already carrying so much emotionally. And to be honest, most of us who are looking to journal for mental health, the challenge doesn't just stop with wanting to know what is it that I need to write, but also feeling safe enough to even start. Now, safety, contrary to popular belief, is not just something that is physical. Safety is also very deeply emotional. It's about feeling safe enough to be yourself, safe enough to express yourself, safe enough to process your emotions and be vulnerable and not feel like you're going to be judged in the process. And for many of us, that idea of being vulnerable, of putting our thoughts onto paper, is intimidating, even when the only person that we're being vulnerable with is ourselves. So the first step in journaling for mental health is creating a safe space in yourself that says, I am okay to do this practice. And if you're not in that state right now, it is okay, because that is exactly what we are going to walk through. We're going to explore what is happening when we're actually feeling overwhelmed, why journaling is a safe space for our emotions and a tool to support our mental health, simple steps to make journaling work for you without the overwhelm, and tips to build consistency into your practice. So if you are ready for this, friend, then let's dive right in. Hey friend, and welcome here or welcome back. My name is Nay, and on this channel we talk about how to live an authentic life, a life that is intentional and aligns with what you truly want and desire. And in order to do that, we first have to know who we are. And that is why I love speaking about topics like journaling so much. So if this type of content resonates with you, then hit the subscribe button and the like and the bell so that you know when we post more like this. So what is actually happening when I feel overwhelmed? Why is it that I even need to journal in the first place? Why am I feeling these feelings of overwhelm? When we feel overwhelmed and stressed and anxious, all of those emotions are actually happening inside of our bodies first. And sometimes we even realize the physical sensations before we even know what we're even feeling. For example, you might be brushing your teeth or walking your dog or doing some mundane task, and all of a sudden you feel this rumbling in your belly, or you're feeling your head get tired and your shoulders tensing up, and you're like, wait a minute, what is happening right now? That is your body telling you, you're feeling something, there's something I'm thinking about that I might not even know I'm thinking about. These physical signs are clues to us to be able to know what it is that we're really thinking and feeling. But the thing is, when we are in stress mode, when we're feeling anxious, our body moves towards survival mode. Our heart beats faster, our muscles tense, our vision sharpens so that we can be able to be alert if there's danger really happening. And this response is beautiful and very intentional, but it's only intentional if there's a real threat at hand. It's not so helpful when we're living in a perpetual state of this high stress. It's not helpful when this becomes our new normal, when we're consistently at this high level of stress, high level of anxiety, high level of emotional turmoil. It's not healthy. And that is why practices like journaling help us so much to ground ourselves in the present moment, to say, mind is going crazy. Mind is saying that it's in danger right now. But I'm not actually in danger. I'm actually here. This process of journaling helps us to explore what we are actually thinking without feeling like we have to figure it all out right now. It lets us put pen to paper and get unstuck in our heads, untangle all of the thoughts and all the emotions that we might have been feeling, and make it into something tangible that we can actually process. So how do we actually do it? How do we start this journaling practice for mental health? The first method you can try is to use what's called brain dumping. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is taking what is in your brain and putting it down on paper in no particular order. I like to use the example of books on a bookshelf, and you're trying to get to the bottom book. You have to take out each and every one of the books on top of it before you can get to that bottom book. That is the same thing with our thoughts. At first, when you're writing on paper, it might feel like this is the most irrelevant thing. I'm trying to figure out why I'm feeling this angst in my stomach right now, and I'm writing about my grocery list. I'm writing about the person in the checkout line. Like, why am I writing about that stuff? It might feel random at first when you're just putting thoughts on a paper, but eventually, just like we're eventually gonna get to the bottom book, you will eventually get to the thought that is most prominent in your mind that might be causing you some turmoil. This can be done via writing pen to paper, or you can use digital journaling apps to be able to do this as well. I do both of those. If there is a lot going on in my head and my thoughts feel overwhelming, I will usually use apps because I can type a lot faster, and I'm just like, It's like almost like as if you're trying to send an email back to somebody and it's like an angry email and you're like typing like, That's what happens when you are literally brain dumping everything out of your head. You're not judging it. You're not thinking, oh man, I probably shouldn't be thinking that. Oh, maybe let me just cross that out and erase that. You're letting everything fall without judgment, fall as they may onto the paper. Eventually, something will rise up to the surface and you will find clarity in what it is that you are actually thinking. Now, if a blank page feels super intimidating, you are like, I am not the brain dumper. I do not know how to do that. I see a blank page and I want to run away. There are other methods for you too. You can use what is called journaling prompts. A simple prompt or question to get you started on your way. Our community just finished a 30-day journaling challenge where I sent out journaling prompts every single week for 30 days and it helped so many people, so I know that this is a practice that people really enjoy. The prompts can be simple. They don't have to be anything crazy. It could be something like, what's one thing I'm feeling grateful for today? Or what's an emotion that I felt this week and why did I feel that way? What's something that made me smile recently? What is something that I need the most of right now? Is there something that I should be saying no to? Is there something I should be saying yes to? Is there something I may be avoiding right now in my life? What is that thing? All of these prompts will help us to understand more about ourselves. It builds curiosity and it builds exploration. And the simple act of you taking time to spend with yourself, taking time and saying, I am worthy of spending time with myself to answer a question the same way I would spend time with somebody else that I love and ask them questions about themselves. I'm spending time with myself in that way. It's an act of self-care, it's an act of self-love, and it's an act of building our mental health. Another way you can tackle this is one of my favorite methods, and I call it journaling to process your emotions. The first thing I would start off with is identifying how I am feeling. What is the emotion I am feeling and what made me feel that way? I vent it all out and let it all out on the paper or the computer or phone. Then I validate my feelings. I tell myself, it makes sense that you're feeling that way. I show myself empathy and sympathy for feeling that way because it still is showing me what I am feeling on the inside and it's providing feedback. So it's okay. But just because I validate it and I say that it's okay for me to feel that way, it doesn't mean that the thoughts that I'm feeling are actually true. So I challenge that. I make a chart and I say, what is true about what I'm believing right now? And what is not true about what I'm believing right now? And I think about that and I say, if there's anything that is not true that I'm still believing, can I let those things go? And then I say, what are the things that I can control in the situation and what are the things I cannot control in this situation? That doesn't automatically bring solution to the situation, but it does bring a lot of relief. Knowing that I can't control everything, but I can control some things brings instant relief for me feeling overwhelmed and in a frenzy and out of control and anxious, knowing that there's some things that I can control. I can control if I decide to get up and take a walk. I can control if I decide to journal right now. I can control if I decide to take a deep breath, to take a step for myself, if I decide to talk to somebody else about the situation, if I decide to ask somebody to get a need met. I have control over certain things. And writing it down on paper helps me to get it out of my head, what it is that I actually need, and helps me to get those needs met. So if you're like, this sounds all great and dandy, but what if I just journal one time and I never come back to the practice again? Is that okay? Like, how do I make this practice something that is sustainable and that I wanna keep coming back to? My advice in that would be to start small. It does not need to be a journaling marathon every single time. That is something that I thought it needed to be when I first started journaling years ago. I was like, every single time I journal, it needs to be this deep thing in order for it to be effective. And I need to be journaling for hours at a time. And guys, Guys, that's just not true. You can journal for 5 minutes and get the results, get the release that you are looking for in just a 5-minute session. It does not need to be long every time. And it doesn't need to be daily for you to get the benefits. The more you do it, the more benefits you get. Of course, it's just like eating healthy food. But just because you don't do it every single day doesn't mean that you never should ever. So don't believe that lie. Another tip to stay consistent is to not worry about grammar or structure at all. Don't worry about misspellings. Don't worry about getting things wrong or right, or maybe even things coming out in a way that's like, wait, I'm not really thinking that. Why did I even write that down? Keep letting it come up. Whatever it is that I'm thinking, I let it come up and come out onto the paper. The third tip is to set the mood. I talked about this in my previous journaling video, but find out what are the things that you love to have around. I love candles. I love tea. I love just dim lighting. As you can tell here, little fairy lights. I love those things. Maybe you love sunlight, or maybe you love like a cool breeze or a cozy blanket, or your dog being on you. I know a lot of people commented in other videos that they love their pets being around. What is it that lights you up that you would love and you can invite into your journaling practice? The fourth tip is to be gentle with yourself. Take breaks if you need it. If you're feeling like you are getting somewhere, but the emotions are too deep for you to handle right now, that is okay. Take a break, walk away from it for a little bit, and then decide to come back to it later. That is okay. It's also okay for you not to gain clarity in the one session. In the one time that you are coming and sitting at your table or sitting on your couch and journaling, it's okay if you walk away and you don't gain clarity at that one time. That is okay. I have a coach that told me once that clarity isn't something that is forced. So if you feel like you're sitting there and you're forcing it, release, let go, and say, you know what, I'm gonna come back to this later. I'm gonna be gentle with myself, and it's okay if I don't figure it all out right now. But guess what? I got some observations that maybe might feel irrelevant and all over the place right now, but they're gonna come together. I spent time with myself, and that in itself is worth it. The fifth tip is to create a routine, but to remain flexible with it. If you feel like you're a morning person, then that is wonderful. Do it in the mornings. Try it in the mornings. If you're a night person, do it at nighttime. If you're like, I have no idea when, try both. Try either time and see which one best fits you and your schedule. But be flexible and don't beat yourself up if you miss a day or a time. It is okay. This is your practice, which leads me to the last tip. This practice is your own. It is not mine. It is not your sister's. It is not your brother's. It is nobody else's but yours. You need to get what it is that you're looking for from the practice. Maybe you start with physical, then you move to digital. Whatever it is, the idea is just to get your thoughts out of your head onto paper and to create a safe space inside of yourself to say, it is okay to feel, it is okay to express, it is okay to sit with my emotions for an extended period of time. That in itself builds our mental health. In the coming weeks, I'll be sharing some real-time journaling videos, journaling through things like overwhelm, a morning reset to gain clarity, or an evening routine. We'll be journaling together. So if you have some ideas of what you'd like to see in some of these sessions, comment below and I would love to add it to our list. It'll feel just like you are journaling with a friend. So be sure to hit the subscribe button so you know when that is posted. And in the meanwhile, you can watch any of the other videos on this channel. I am rooting for you. You have got this, and I am here to support you on the journey. Until next time, guys, have the most amazing day. I love you so much. Bye, guys.